Okay, guys. So now what I want to do is I want to take a look at kind of the first disagreement that Washington's cabinet is going to have really amongst themselves and how Washington is going to resolve this disagreement to really make a decision to create a national bank. So we're going to split this over the next couple of days. Today we're going to talk about kind of how that decision comes to be and who's for it and who's against it in Washington's cabinet. So I want to focus on that today. And then tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on how it ended up being passed and how Washington decided to agree with forming a national bank and with creating that national bank. Now, we took a look already and we know that Washington's the first president, that he's setting this precedent, that the cabinet has been created by Congress. And we also know that the American people are looking at this time in 1789, they're looking for Washington to protect them and to make the economy strong. So this fight over the national bank is going to be a fight over how to make the economy strong. That's the point of this. That's kind of the focus behind it. So Hamilton, as the Secretary of the Treasury, his job is really to kind of focus on the economy and really focus on how to make it strong and the best way to make it strong. And Hamilton has a good idea of how to do that. So after the Revolutionary War, Hamilton knows that he needs to have either United States businesses or businesses from other countries or other countries invest in the United States. He needs them to spend money or to give the United States capital to so that the United States can develop economically. He knows that that needs to happen. He knows that either businesses or other countries need to spend money on the United States and really kind of invest in the United States and invest in businesses that the United States, that the people of the United States come up with. So, one way to really kind of get people to invest in the United States and invest in businesses in the United States is to show that the United States is able to pay off its debts, to pay back what it owes. Now, the United States owes, and by the United States I mean the national government, owes $51 million. They had to buy uniforms, they had to buy weapons, they had to pay the soldiers. So the national government itself owes $51 million for the Revolutionary War. The states in total, all 13 states, owe $25 million. So that is $76 million altogether that is owed for the Revolutionary War. So Hamilton wants to pay this off immediately because he knows that if it can be shown that the United States can pay its debts and can pay what it owes and pay businesses or pay countries what it owes, then people won't be afraid to either spend money in the United States or sell things to the United States and allow the United States to pay it back later. So that is what Hamilton is trying to do and trying to set up. So he wants to not only pay off the national debt as soon as he can, but he also wants to assume the $25 million state debt. And the reason he wants to do that is because, again, he wants to be sure that all of that gets paid off as quickly as possible so that people are willing to invest in the United States and people are willing to sell things to the United States and be paid back later. In other words, sell it to the United States on credit. So the only struggle with doing that is the only struggle with assuming state debts is that that is going to cause the taxes of every citizen in the United States to go up. Now, there are states that owe more than others. Massachusetts, for example, is one state that owes a lot of money. New York State is another example of a state that owes a lot of money, from the Revolutionary War. this is going to benefit them and this is going to help them because their debt is going to be taken on by the federal government. And it's no longer something that New York, the government of New York, really has to worry about. Now, Virginia, on the other hand, is going to have a huge problem with this because they don't owe a lot of money for the Revolutionary War. So their citizens are going to be taxed more as a result of the national government assuming the state debts. So the government of Virginia doesn't want their citizens to be taxed more than they have to be. So that's why Virginia and states like Virginia, who don't have a lot of debt, would have not supported this idea. But states like New York and Massachusetts, who might have had to tax their citizens more, now can kind of take it easy and at least kind of be reassured in knowing that their citizens will not be taxed as much because the debt is more distributed over those 13 states, if that makes sense, guys. So that lessens the burden on the citizens of states who owe more, and it increases the amount of tax that the citizens in states who owe less will have to pay. So this is going to kind of be a disagreement. Now, Hamilton looks at this and isn't really worried as much about how much in taxes citizens of the United States have to pay, so long as that national debt is paid off. However, Thomas Jefferson is going to disagree with Hamilton's view and Hamilton's plan. Jefferson is from Virginia. He believes that the United States should be a land of farmers and small towns. And if we remember from the workbook assignment, most farmers wanted lower taxes. So this is something that is going to raise taxes and is something that a lot of farmers are not going to like and are not going to be happy about. Virginia is a state with a lot of farmers. There's a lot of people, if you remember, there are a lot of people growing tobacco and a lot of people growing crops. They're not going to be huge fans of the increased taxes. And Jefferson is somebody who wants to see the United States be a land of small farms, a land of small towns. So, because he views that as a better way to kind of grow the economy and strengthen the economy. Hamilton, on the other hand, is a guy who believes in manufacturing, who believes in having cities and stuff like that. And he prefers large towns and manufacturing. And that's not going to influence. Taxes sometimes actually help manufacturers because it protects their business and their what they're producing. So taxes are not something that concern Hamilton as much as they do Jefferson. And their different views on society and their different views on what America should be lead them to have different views on whether the national government should take on this debt or not, and whether taxes should go up for regular American citizens. Jefferson is going to be somebody that opposes Hamilton's plan and does not support the national government taking on that extra 25 million state debt, whereas Hamilton is all for it because he wants to make the economy stronger and more stable and make it so that other countries and other businesses will invest in the United States. That's what they're trying to do. That is why they are going to be at opposite ends of this debate and of this issue. So what Hamilton wants to do, along with and to help this debt plan, is Hamilton wants to create a national bank where the government can safely deposit money, and the bank would also make loans to government and to businesses, which is going to kind of make the economy more stable and really kind of give the United States a place to store its tax money and really kind of give it a place to kind of build up a savings so that they can pay back debts when they need to and stuff like that. Now, Hamilton tries to make people like Jefferson happy when he starts drafting legislation, drafting a law to make it possible for the United States to create a national bank. Hamilton tries to make people like Jefferson happy by limiting the existence of the bank to 20 years. That's what it means by limiting the bank to a 20-year charter. So after that 20 years is up, what is going to happen is Congress is going to meet again to decide whether the national bank is going to continue to be something that exists or whether they're going to get rid of it. So Hamilton is trying to make people like Jefferson happy by only making the charter last for 20 years. And he also justifies the creation of the national bank by quoting the elastic clause of the Constitution. Now, the elastic clause is what has really kind of allowed the Constitution to exist and the government to exist for over 200 years. It's something that allows the government to make laws that are necessary and proper for the United States. So anything that the framers didn't think of, or any laws that they might not have known might have been necessary. For example, when we talk about iPhones and the founding fathers having no idea that iPhones would have ever existed, all of a sudden there needs to be laws protecting privacy on iPhones and stuff like that. The government can create those laws because of the elastic clause. So that's the idea behind it, and that's what he used to justify it. And the fact that Hamilton is what is known as a loose constructionist, somebody who believes that if it doesn't say it in the Constitution, that doesn't mean you can't make it happen or make it part of the government. That's the way Hamilton saw the Constitution. That's how he justifies creating the national bank for those that say the Constitution doesn't allow the creation of a national bank. So Hamilton is a loose constructionist. That's how he justifies creating the national bank. That's how he justifies the government having the power to create the national bank. And he really tries to make those that are more strict constructionists like Jefferson happy. He tries to make the 20-year charter to make people like Jefferson happy, but his goal is to really kind of strengthen the economy and strengthen the government's position and the government's footing when it comes to paying back debts and kind of making money and having people invest in the United States. So that is Hamilton's goal in creating the national bank. He's trying to make the economy stronger. He tries to make strict constructionists happy by only having the bank last 20 years, and then the government can re-vote on it. And he uses his loose constructionist belief in the Constitution to argue that even though the government doesn't have the power to create this, that doesn't mean, even though it doesn't say that they have the power to create this in the Constitution, that doesn't mean that the government doesn't have the power to create this. So that's what Hamilton is trying to do. That's how Hamilton tries to make strict constructionists happy, and that is how Hamilton justifies having the power to make this national bank. Jefferson, on the other hand, is a strict constructionist. He does not agree with this view, does not want to sink the people of Virginia further into debt, and he also believes that it is not the federal government's job to create a national bank because the Constitution doesn't say that the national government can create a national bank. So those are the two competing sides. Not only their view of what the United States should be and how the United States should make money, but also whether there should be their interpretation of the Constitution and how the Constitution should be interpreted. So these are the two sides. Hamilton on the one side being a loose constructionist and trying to argue that even though it doesn't say it in the Constitution, that doesn't mean the government doesn't have the power to create a national bank. And Jefferson on the other side arguing that it doesn't say it in the Constitution, therefore the national government can't do it. So those are the two sides. That's the purpose of a national bank. So what I want you guys, now that we've done that, what I want you to do on the next slide right here, you guys will see a Hamilton song. It is Cabinet Battle 1. This is the first kind of debate, and it does a really good job of laying out the debate over why or why not a national bank should exist. Parents or guardians, just so you are aware, there are a couple of words that are inappropriate for school. So you can listen to it first. You can take the opportunity to listen to it first and then take and have your child listen to it if you want to go that route. Or if you choose not to allow your child to listen to the song, that one's up to you in this particular case. It does a really, really good job of helping students to understand the fight over the national bank. And these are words that students have probably heard in class and are not really that bad, but it is completely up to you whether you want your child to listen to that or not. Just a heads up. So that takes care of this lesson today, guys. So you may go ahead and listen to, from here, go ahead and listen to the Hamilton song, and then make sure you do the exit ticket that is on the next slide. Your Unit 7 key terms 1 through 10 will be due on March 30th. That is Monday. So make sure you have 1 through 10 done for Monday. If you want to go farther than that, go ahead. Make sure they are done. Make sure you type them up so that you can share them with me on Google Classroom. If you have any other questions, guys, please feel free to email me. My office hours today are, as I said already before, are from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy the Hamilton song. Good luck on the exit ticket. Have a great day, guys. I'll catch you tomorrow.